Hello, hello, and welcome to Coordinate Geometry Day 1 Notes. So, a lot of this should look familiar to you from algebra and some of your earlier math courses, but we're going to touch on a couple key points that are going to be important going forward with more coordinate geometry. And I'm going to brighten up this screen just a little bit with the light. So, our slope, that is our rise over run, our vertical and horizontal change. So this slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, should be super familiar to you. So if we're given 2 points, we can calculate the slope between them using this formula. So what I like to do when I'm given 2 points is label them. So I'm going to label x1, y1 and x2, y2. And this helps me keep it clear which numbers are going in where in my formula. So for this first set of points, y2, negative 1, minus y1, which is 5, over x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is negative 1. Now, negative 1 minus 5 is going to be negative 6. Minus a negative becomes plus, so that is positive 4. And this can reduce to be negative 3 over 2. Okay, let's practice again. I have another set of points, x1, y1, x2, y2. So again, plug them into my formula. It's going to be 2 minus negative 6 over 4 minus negative 2. So again, plus, 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 plus. That's going to give me 8 over 6, which simplifies to 4 over 3. Now, this is a positive slope, and my first one was a negative slope. So let's talk about what that looks like on our graph. A positive slope is going to be increasing from left to right, and a negative slope is going to be decreasing from left to right. Okay. Then a zero slope is going to be a horizontal line, and an undefined slope is going to be a vertical line. Okay. So again, those should all look familiar to you, so a lot of this is review. Now we're going to talk about one of the ways we can write the equation of a line, and that is slope-intercept form. So I need 2 pieces of information in order to write the equation of a line in this way. I need to know the slope m, that's my slope, and I need to know b, my y-intercept. That's where our line crosses the y-axis. So all we need in order to find our slope and y-intercept is 2 points on the equation of a line. So here, if I'm given points A and B, the first thing I need to do is calculate my slope. And I do that with my x1, y1 and x2, y2. So first we're going to calculate our slope. So that's going to be 1 minus negative 2 over 4 minus 3. So that becomes plus, and that gives me 3 over 1, which is 3. So my slope is 3. Now I need to find my y-intercept. And I'm going to do this by plugging in the x and y values from one of my points, as well as the slope we just calculated, and then we're going to solve for b. Now you can use either point, and I'll show you. I'm going to do A first. So this is using point A. So my x value is 3, my y value is negative 2. So negative 2 is equal to my slope, which is 3, times my x value, which is 3, plus b. Now 3 times 3 is 9, so b is negative 11. Now if I use my coordinates from b, my x is going to be 4 and my y is going to be 1. And I will get the same answer if I use the coordinates from b. So either way, we get that b is negative 11. So now that I have my slope is 3 and b is negative 11, I can plug both of those values into my equation of my line. So y equals 3x minus 11. That is the final answer we were looking for here. Okay, on to the back side. Parallel and perpendicular lines. 2 lines are parallel if they have the same slope, and 2 lines are perpendicular if they have opposite reciprocal slopes. And what this means is we flip the fraction upside down and change the sign. So if it was positive, it becomes negative. If it was negative, it becomes positive. So here on this example, we have a line that passes through C and D. So that's our x1, y1 and our x2, y2. So let's find the slope of CD. So that's going to be negative 4 minus negative 2 over 1 minus 6. So that becomes plus plus. So I've got negative 2 over negative 5, and a negative divided by a negative is positive. So the slope of CD is going to be positive 2 over 5. So a parallel line that's parallel to CD would have the same slope. So that would be 2 over 5. It's going to be the same slope. Now our perpendicular slope would be the opposite reciprocal. So that means I'm going to flip my fraction upside down, so it's going to be 5 over 2. And it was positive before, so it's now going to be negative. So opposite reciprocal. Now, one last thing we are going to take a look at is another way that we can write the equation of a line, and that is in point-slope form. And the information that I need to write an equation in point-slope form is, again, my slope m, and then I need one of the points that the line passes through. So that's x1 and y1. So that's the point and the point. Okay? So we need slope and one of the points it passes through to write the equation of a line in this method. So here, if I'm writing the equation of a line that passes through 6, negative 3, this is my x1, y1. I just now need my slope. So if we're told it's parallel to this line, now remember this is slope-intercept form here. So that number that's being multiplied on the x is going to be my slope. So the slope of this line is negative 2/3. And a parallel line is going to have the same slope. So there's my slope for the line in this example. So that's going to be y minus y1, which is negative 3, equals our slope, negative 2/3, times x minus x1, which is 6. Now this minus and negative does become plus, so that's the only simplification I need to do. And here is our final equation for our line. Last part, we want to write an equation and graph a line that passes through these points. Now we can write this in point slope or slope intercept form, but either way we're going to need the slope of our line. So here's x1, y1 and x2, y2. So our slope is going to be 5 minus 1 over negative 5 minus negative 1. And that gives us negative 4 over negative 4. I apologize, that should be positive 4 on the top. 5 minus 1 is positive 4, negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. So that is negative 1. So if we wanted to write this in point slope form, we could go ahead and do that using our x1, y1. So for point slope, that would be y minus 1 equals negative 1 times x minus negative 1. And remember, minus a negative becomes plus. So there's our equation in point slope form. If I wanted to write it in slope intercept form, I need to solve for b. So let's do that. Let's look for slope intercept. We need to solve for b, our y-intercept. So we plug in one of our sets of x and y values. Again, it doesn't matter which. I'm just going to use this first set. So our y value equals our slope times our x value plus b. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. And I apologize about that bell. And if we solve, we find that b is 0. So our equation in slope-intercept form is going to be y equals negative x plus 0. Or you could just leave it as negative x. Either way, we can now graph our line. It's going to start at 0. And it goes down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, and on and on and on. And when we connect those dots, we're going to do so in both directions. And there's the graph of our line. And that concludes day 1 of coordinate geometry.